Good afternoon, traders. It is Tuesday, November 1st, 2016, and the U.S. stock market is closed. Hey, these markets are pretty darn nervous. I trade markets and watch all the networks on the reporting of elections, and Donald Trump has gained about 10 points in the polls in the last week, depending on what polls you're looking at and depending on what networks you're watching. But anyway, he has gained quite a bit of strength, and I think it's reasonable to say that the election is pretty much a dead heat right now. And this creates just, really schizophrenia in these markets. Today, the Dow lost 105 points. I think that reflects nervousness about Donald Trump, for better or for worse. Uh, I well, let's just talk about the Dow first. You can see here just selling pressure all day long, and then it put in what I would call a bull spike down here and came back. For that reason, I'm going to call the Dow up. I'm calling it up for tomorrow. We'll just have to see. But hey, this is a news driven market now, and obviously news can change, every 5 minutes. And so that's my prediction, but who knows? Anyway, we didn't have a bad day today. It could have, at one point, it was better than it ended up. But regardless, we ended up closing out $8,600 in closed out trades. That was pretty good, and it was better than what we were hanging on to on the close yesterday. But earlier on in the day, we were up 15,000. So, we gave back quite a bit. Things just, all our profits didn't hang together as good as I would like. But still, we made $8,600. We got into 13 new positions. 8 are positive, 5 are negative. That's a pretty good ratio. But we're still holding negative $2,000 going into tomorrow. So I'm a little bit nervous about these 13 positions. But at least the way things look right now, I think we might get a little upside tomorrow, and maybe that will help us. We are heavily invested in energy stocks right now, and those are not quite, they aren't going to move exactly lockstep with the Dow. We're not, the correlation there's not close correlation there. So that's how we ended up making, almost $9,000 today, even though the Dow went down. But anyway, we'll see. We just don't know. We had some good trades. Let me show you some of the good stuff here. Oh, I was going. Well, here, I'll show you this first. This is Degaz, which is an inverse natural gas. I showed you this stock yesterday. We had bought this yesterday, and it had closed favorably, but we had this big, humongous gap up. This is where our profits kind of, what pushes when the stock, when Degaz was up here. This is when our total equity was showing positive $15,000. Anyway, unfortunately, this thing pulled back, and we ended up being stopped out at the low tick of the day. Regardless of being stopped out of the low tick of the day, we still made $5,600 in Degaz. So that was very nice. But then the thing turns around, starts going up, and we got re-entered. And that was a little scary initially, but it actually we're holding positive $400 on that open position in DeGaz, and the close is pretty close to the high. So this is, at least right now, it's looking good. But God, you never know. DeGaz is just famous for its gaps. We benefited from a good gap today. You know, we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. Uh, Then I'll show you another one here. This I showed you yesterday also. And this is DWTI, which is inverse crude oil. The gas, if I didn't mention, is inverse natural gas. This is inverse crude oil. 3 days ago, we bought this thing down here. We got out here, and that gave us $4,000 in profit. And then we got into it yesterday again. This looked really, really good up here. Unfortunately, it opened down this morning, but it did pop up and we did get out here. That wasn't a real bad exit. But we took $3,000 out of that. So on this 3-day run, we've taken $7,000 out of inverse crude oil. So this was a real good trade, and those past two trades obviously contributed greatly to those nice profits that we had. We have another one here. I'll show you just partially because this is a new market for us. This is HL, which is Hecla Mining, and we bought that yesterday. Last few minutes of the day, jumped into this right at the high tick of the day, and then it did this nice gap up this morning. That puts us in for a third day, so we hung on to it. I don't know if this looks unstable or stable, probably more stable than unstable, but it is closing pretty near its low. Nevertheless, we have $2,200, $2,200 in Hecla Mining open trade going into tomorrow. So we just hope that goes well. Anyway, another wild pre-election market day. This is Trader Bob signing off. I'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday.